Hello everyone! To follow up on the success of Pokemon Blue with modern Weedle, I figured I may as well take my backporting skills to the test, and we'll do this again in Pokemon Crystal. So let's get straight into the run. For anyone who hasn't seen the first one, I highly recommend you do so first. If not, I'll just briefly explain what we're dealing with. We're still dealing with a normal Weedle. Our stats are very small. We have 40 HP, 35 attack, 30 defense, 20 special attack, 20 special defense, and 50 speed. And in Generation 2, Weedle only gets Poison Sting and String Shot. But if we take into account moves it can learn from more newer games, we can also give it the moves Bug Bite and Electro Web. It can learn Bug Bite via level up starting in Gen 4, and in very select games, mainly Black and White 2, Oras, and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, you can also give it the tutor move for Electro Web. Bug Bite is a 60 power bug move with no additional effects, so it'll be a very great same type attack bonus move that isn't Poison Sting. And Electro Web is a 55 power electric type move with 95% accuracy, and it drops the opponent's speed by 1 stage. I have modded both of these moves onto Weedle's moveset, so we can try and beat the entire game with it. These rules I'll be using for the playthrough will be slightly different to how I normally run them. Instead of playing the game on 3 times speed, I'll be playing on 4 times speed, and I will have the instant text modified into the game, just to make it go faster. But other than that, we're dealing with a normal Weedle. My solo run rules are normally applied like usual, so let's get straight into the run, shall we? As I go through the early routes, I just fight any wild Pokemon I come across. My main attacking move for the whole run is pretty much going to be Bug Bite with some occasional Electro Webs. I can definitely guarantee you String Shot is rarely, if ever, going to be used. Anyway, as I face the rival, he has Cyndaquil. I always replace Chikorita in all my Johto runs, so the rival uses the Fire team. Technically, if I wanted to make him harder, I could give him the Bayleaf team, because the rival 2-fight has Razor Leaf, but that would honestly be easier for Weedle. And besides, the Fire starter is going to be proven to be a huge challenge later on. You'll definitely see. As I make my way to Violet City, I fight almost every trainer I can, and I also catch a Bellsprout for Cut and Flash later. And after I fight everybody, I make it into Violet City. At this point, I can go straight to the gym because the Sprout Tower is optional, but with Weedle, I'm obviously going to do the Sprout Tower because Falkner's gym is full of flying types and they will have a type advantage on me. So I'm going to take on all the Sages in the Sprout Tower, and then let's go take on Falkner. Who knows, Electro Web might make him trivial. He leads off with a level 7 Pidgey, and Electro Web almost one-shots it. And then on the Pidgeotto, the first Electro Web does less than half. It does not do that much damage to me because of my higher level, and I end up two-shotting it, so yeah, that was pretty easy. Next up, we have to go through Route 33, go south to the Union Cave, and make our way to Azalea Town. But like with the other routes, I'm gonna fight every trainer along the way just because I predict we're gonna need level 100 for Red, possibly the Elite Four, so I want to make sure to get all the training I can. I arrive into Azalea Town, clear out the Slowpoke well, and then when I get into Bugsy's gym, I try to fight this one bug catcher with a Beedrill, but unfortunately the Beedrill kills me, and I hadn't saved, so I had to black out, and I'm all the way back at the Pokemon Center by Union Cave, so that's embarrassing. Anyway, why don't we go take on Bugsy right now? He leads off with Metapod, and I just spam Electro Web. Same thing with the Kakuna. Then on the Scyther, I just continue with Electro Web, and it tries to set up Fury Cutters, but I resist Fury Cutter, because unlike Generation 1, the Poison type is not weak to Bug type moves, so I resist the Fury Cutters and I easily defeat Bugsy. You may think this looks easy so far, but just you wait. Rival 2 is up next. He leads with Ghastly. The Ghastly isn't that hard if you can get past it without being paralyzed, but the problem is, the Quilava does over 30 damage with Ember, and it can easily two-shot me, while I can't even two-shot it. So I can definitely assure I am going to need a lot of training for this. Plus, even though we're using Modern Weedle cannot learn any TMs of any kind. So this is kind of all we have to deal with. I go back to the rival at level 22, and after a few more resets, I am still not good enough of a level, so I go do some more training. I've been training in a bunch of different places. The best spot I've noticed to train is the Union Cave because the Geodudes and Onyxes in here are only neutral to bug type moves, so they are worth a decent amount of experience. So I just grind in here for a bit. I come back to the rival fight at level 24. And you may notice, as soon as I lose to the rival, I go immediately fight him. I'm attempting to blackout grind on him, meaning if I black out, I warp back to the center, lose some money, but I get to keep the experience. Because at this point, wild Pokemon training just is not worth it at all. So the main plan is just to go at him over and over again, and eventually I'll win. Which I can assure you, I do end up winning with this strategy. I needed level 25 to do so, but I mean, that's not bad for needing to defeat Rival 2, but that is still a lot of grinding. But hey, at least now we can move on. We can head our way to Goldenrod City. There's a lot of errands I usually do here with every Pokemon, such as going in the underground, getting the coin case, I buy an Abra, I can get a Spearow for Fly, and I can get the bicycle for faster transportation, as well as the radio card. But I'm not going to show all that stuff. I'm just going to show you all the amount of trainer battles I'm doing. I have to go up to the Pseudo-Widow tree, talk to a girl, and then she can go back to Goldenrod, and then after I beat Whitney, I can get the Squirt Bottle. But since I have to go up there anyway, I fight all the trainers along the way. Every other trainer is just hard for Weedle just because we are using a Weedle, so I'm not going to go over every single fight where I have a reset. It's just the video's just going to take too long. So with all those trainers done, I take on every trainer in Whitney's gym. I fight her at level 31, so let us see how this fight goes. She leads with Clefairy. The Clefairy is a 2-shot with Bug Bite, and the Miltank following it is a 3-shot with Bug Bite. It does try to stack up rollouts, but fortunately it can't build the damage up in time, and I win. So yeah, every gym leader has been a first try so far. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I was thinking I'd get a few resets on somebody, and then once I get past the Pseudo-Widow, I talk to this guy right here to get a Magnet. This will boost the power of electric moves by 10%. Whenever I do my crystal runs, I have to set the day of the week with Mother, but I also play by a rule where once I set the day of the week, I am not allowed to change it because I'm just not a fan of changing the in-game clock during runs. So I usually set the game to Sunday in order to get the TM for return, but obviously Weedle cannot learn return, but the main reason I have it to Sunday is so I can get a Magnet. If you guys are wondering where the Silver Powder is to boost bug moves by 10%, you can only find it held by Wild Butterfree, and it's only a 2% chance. If you guys are wondering where to find them, you can actually headbutt the trees in Ilex Forest to find a Butterfree, but it's only a 5% spawn. So if you headbutt a tree and something falls out of it, the chance of it being a Silver Powder holding Butterfree is roughly 1 in 1,000. If I wait all the way till Kanto in the Viridian Forest, I could have a 10% chance, but that's really not any better, so we're never gonna get that. And before I can take on the 4th gym leader Morty, I am clearly not ready to fight him because his ghosts will resist Bug Bite because of their poison typing, so I fight all the trainers on Route 38 and 39, and I make my way to Olivine City. I get the Good Rod, buy some Super Repels at the Mart, and I catch a Krabby for Surf, Strength, and Whirlpool for HM usage later on. And then I can go into the lighthouse, fight all the trainers here, and then I can talk to Jasmine up top. Me talking to her will allow me to get the secret potion for the Ampharos in Sandwood City, but obviously I can't get it yet because I need Morty's badge to use Surf. So with all those trainers in the lighthouse defeated, I can head my way back to Ecruteak, but I am not taking on Morty yet. There is still all of the trainers from the right side of Ecruteak all the way north to the Lake of Rage. If you guys are wondering if I should take on the Rocket Hideout 2 for extra training, you need Surf to defeat the Gyarados, so I obviously cannot do the Rocket Hideout right now, so after I defeat all of these trainers, I'll be out of options for efficient training. So if I have to do more training, it's unfortunately going to have to be in the wild. So with all the training in the Lake of Rage done, I can go to the Burned Tower and take on Rival 3 at level 38. Unfortunately, the Haunter uses a turn 1 curse on me, and then the Quilava with its embers is enough to take me out. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a good way to avoid curse from the Haunter. I just have to get lucky. Thankfully, 11 resets into the run, it does not use curse, but unfortunately the Quilava crits me with ember, and I still lose anyway. That is really frustrating. So instead of just continually trying again, I just come back one level higher at level 39. But still, things just don't go my way, so I am back to training in the wild. Woohoo. After that, the main reason I knew where the silver powder was, I actually did try for like 5 minutes to find a silver powder, but I found like 3 Butterfrees and none of them were holding it, so I just give up. So instead of trying to hunt one, I just grind in the grass. I actually do find a good training spot at this point. The grass in Route 38 has Tauros, Miltank, Raticate, Pidgeotto, some mid to fully evolved Pokemon. Since they give plenty of experience, this is a really good place to train. So now I can go back to the rival at level 40. Unfortunately, even though the Haunter does not use Curse on me in the first battle, it paralyzes me with Lick not once, but twice. So yeah, this fight is still a pain in the butt. Fortunately though, at this high of a level, the Haunter really doesn't seem to use Curse that often, so 28 resets in, I finally defeat the rival. So now, without further ado, let's go take on the 4th gym leader, Morty. I equip the Mint Berry in case he uses Hypnosis. He leads off with Ghastly. Thankfully the Ghastly is a 1-shot, but then unfortunately the Haunter following it is a 3-shot, and yeah, this guy is just not really that good to face. If this was Generation 1, his team would take neutral damage because Poison's weak to Bug and Ghost resists it, but in this gen, the Ghosts double resist Bug Bite, so yeah, I'm gonna need to do some more training. What I decide to do for Morty is exactly what I did with Rival 2. I just have to continually black out and just go at him again until I eventually win. Because if I black out, at least I can keep the experience. Unfortunately, unlike Rival 2, instead of just holding left on the D-pad to get back to the rival very quickly, I have to go back into the gym, go on the little maze of the invisible pathway, and then I have to get back to Morty, so it does still take a while. With this strategy though, eventually at level 43, I am able to take out Morty. That's good. Hopefully the gyms from here will be easy, but then again, she's coming. But we don't have to worry about that right now. I can go into the water, fight a lot of the swimmers. A bunch of them have fully evolved water-type Pokemon for really good experience. And then once they're all done, I can head my way to Cianwood City. I get the secret potion for later, and let's see how well the Chuck fight can go. He leads off with Primeape and is a 3-shot with Bug Bite, but the Primeape really can't hurt me that much, although I did kind of make a boo-boo in the first attempt because I forgot to use a potion. Oops. And then on the Poliwrath, it misses Hypnosis, goes for a Surf, and I end up knocking it out on the second try. So the first 3 gym leaders were 1 tries, Chuck was 2 tries, but Morty was just a lot of tries. I mean, I kind of predicted that. And then with Chuck defeated, I can get the HM for Fly, go to Mahogany Town, lose to the Gyarados because it 1-shot me, and then I can defeat the Gyarados, and then I can do the entire Rocket plotline. Even though this is really good training, at least for a Weedle it's good training, I'm still not going to talk about this place that much, just because it is just annoying to fight all these low-level Rocket Grunts, plus it's just a boring section of the game. But once I finish this section, I can leave and go fight the next gym leader, Price. He leads off with Seal, Electro Web 1-shots, it 2-shots the Dewgong, and then Bug Bite 2-shots the Piloswine, and I take very little damage in the process. But now at this point, I've got to take on Jasmine. I've been dreading this Jasmine fight, like I am very worried about this fight. The only way I can damage the Steelix is with Bug Bite. So yeah, let's see how much blackout training this needs. I do have a Paralysis Cure Berry equipped for the first Magnemite since it likes to use a turn 1 Thunder Wave. I saved this Paralysis Cure Berry from the start of the game just to save it for this fight. And since it's very clear that I cannot beat Jasmine right now, I just go north on this little route in between Mahogany and the Lake of Rage. This place is actually good training as well. There's Farfetch, there's Pidgeotto, there's Furrets, just some bunch of fully evolved Pokemon, so the training's not too bad, although it does still take a while. Like, I really should have thought of giving myself a Lucky Egg, but this needs to be an authentic modern Weedle. If you guys are wondering where the Lucky Egg is, it's a 2% held item from Chansey, and Chansey is a 1% spawn on one route in Kanto. So the chance of finding a Lucky Egg in Gen 2, I think that's like half of the odds of finding a shiny. So yeah, it's very, very, very rare. After training in this grass for a while, I started experimenting with some other grinding locations, and I think I've actually found a really good location. The water in between Cianwood and Olivine City. All of the Tentacruel, and occasional Mantines that pop up, they give at a minimum like 280 to 300 experience. Sometimes it can go as high as 500. So yeah, this place is actually really good training, plus it's right near a Pokemon Center. So I continue grinding until level 53 over a damage rounding threshold, and at this point I can survive 3 Iron Tails off of the Steelix, but the problem is she has a Hyper Potion and can easily heal her Steelix. If she didn't have a Hyper Potion, I could win. I would just have to bank on some Iron Tail misses, but this is clearly not going to happen, so back to the water we go. After a bit of grinding in the wild, I kind of got tired of it, so I actually was thinking, are there any more trainers I can fight? And yeah, there is. In Union Cave, once you get access to Surf, there's a bunch of other trainers you can fight. I'm willing to bet most of you never knew about these trainers. I mean, the only reason you would ever go deep in the Union Cave is to either get to other parts of the ruins of Alph, or get the Lapras that spawns down here every Friday. You had no reason to go back here. I come back to Jasmine at level 58, and things are looking promising. I'm doing more damage to the Magnemite, and doing pretty decent damage to the Steelix, but at this point, the only way for me to win is to get very, very lucky with like Bug Bite crits, high ranges, Iron Tail missing, and yeah, this just doesn't work at all. If the Magnemites didn't have Thunder Wave, I could think of using a Gold Berry to heal 30 HP when I get low enough in damage. I do have one of those. I got it from the Ruins of Alph when I was grinding at some point, but unfortunately I need it in case of Thunder Wave, which always seems to happen. Although there is the chance for Thunder Wave to miss. You may be thinking, wait a minute, Thunder Wave is 100% accurate in this game. While that is true, in Generation 2, the enemy AI has a built-in 25% accuracy reduction on status moves like Thunder Wave. That's just to make it a bit easier on the player. It also applies with Hypnosis, so on Chuck's Poliwrath with Hypnosis, it's got like a 40-something% chance of even landing the move. Even if it uses Mind Reader, it'll still have the built-in 25%. So if it uses Mind Reader, Hypnosis still has a 75% chance to land. It's honestly pretty funny. They did get rid of enemy debuffs starting in Gen 3 because that's just baby mode at that point. I come back to Jasmine at level 60, but at this point it's still clearly not possible, so I actually use all of the rare candies I've obtained at this point to get to level 65. This is the point where I'm like, okay, I can survive 3 to 4 Iron Tails, I need to just win at this point. Like, I've done enough grinding. And fortunately for me, 52 resets in at around 2 hours and 22 minutes, I have finally defeated Jasmine. Oh my goodness, that was a really hard fight. Man. And now I can get a little break and just go through the radio tower and fight all the rocket grunts. Like, these guys are not hard at all, and they're still good training because trainers give 50% more experience than wild Pokemon do in this game. So I make sure to fight everyone I can. And then once I finish the radio tower, I have to go underground in order to go fight the rival and rescue the director. After I do all that stuff, I can go buy vitamins, but I've done so much training in the wild, I'm past the point where vitamins will be of any use, so I don't pick any of them up today. But speaking of the rival fight, he's been kind of hard in today's video, so let's see if he's easy yet. He leads off with Golbat. I one-shot it with Electroweb, I two-shot the Quilava, and I two-shot the Magnemite, defeat the Haunter, and one-shot the Sneasel. And that was with me being paralyzed. So yeah, finally an easy rival fight. And then after that, I can wrap up the rest of the Rocket plotline, and I can head back to Mahogany Town and go east to Blackthorn City. There's a lot of trainers on the way through, so I make sure to fight them all. And then eventually, I am finished with the Ice Cavern, and I make it into Blackthorn. I'm not ready to fight Clair yet. There's a bunch of trainers south of Blackthorn through the next couple of routes until it eventually goes back down to Newbark. I rarely ever fight these guys, because there's just a lot of one-way ledges here, and once you go down, you have to fly back up, but I know the training is going to be worth it. And once I'm very sure that I fought all of the trainers, I can go into Clair's gym, fight everybody, and now I can take on Clair herself. Unfortunately, I do not have a paralysis cure berry in case any of her Dragonairs live and use Thunderwave, but Bug Bite one-shot all 3 of her Dragonites, so yeah, no worry about that today. And then with Clair's badge obtained, I can get the Dratini for waterfall usage later, and then I can fly back to Newbark Town and head my way towards the Indigo Plateau. There are a lot of trainers on the way to Victory Road, and almost all of them have fully evolved Pokemon, so I'm definitely going to take advantage and fight everybody for as much experience as possible. I know I sound like a broken record, but I want you to all know just how much training I'm having to do in this run. Like, I want you all to know it and see it. And then once I get to the final rival battle, I am level 72, and I almost destroy his team, but unfortunately I get very low in health, but psych, I ended up winning on the first try. But that was still way too dangerously close. So now I can head into the Pokemon League, deposit my HM users in case I have to blackout train, and now I can buy some full restores and take on the final 5 trainers of Johto. Let's do this shit. Will leads off with Xatu. Unfortunately, none of his Zatus are one-shots with Bug Bite, and then 2 of their Psychics end up knocking me out. Yeah, this is a problem. What I decide to do is instead of committing myself to blackout training, I go into Victory Road, get 1 more level to level 74, and then I come back and I defeat Will. Alright, that's good. Now let's see how Koga goes. If this was Generation 1, like I've said before, nearly his whole team will be weak to Bug Bite, but unfortunately they nearly all resist. But fortunately, with Electro Web as a coverage option, I am able to defeat Koga within a couple of tries. Next up is the 3rd Elite Four member Bruno. I'm mainly scared of his Onix and his Machamp, because his Onix can use Sandstorm to deal 1/8 of my damage every turn, plus it does have Rock Slide. I know its attack is very bad, but you gotta remember, I'm still dealing with a Weedle here. After a few more attempts at Bruno, I pretty much realized I am not getting past Bruno at level 75, so now I am at the point where I am committing myself to blackout grinding. I'm just going to make it as far as I can, limit myself on the amount of healing items I use, and I'll eventually get past Bruno, which I do at level 81. So now we can go take on Karen, and I can pretty much guarantee Karen's going to be very easy. I one-shot her Umbreon, her Houndoom, 2-shot the Vileplume. The Gengar does tank 3 hits, but fortunately the Murkrow following is a one-shot with Electro Web. So at least if I can consistently get past Bruno if I have to blackout train, I can pretty much easily make it all the way to Lance. But speaking of Lance, let's see how the first attempt goes. He leads off with Gyarados. Electro Web is enough to one-shot it, and then the Aerodactyl is 2-shot with Electro Web. Rock Slide does not do that much, and then on the Charizard, it seems to be a 2-shot, which it is. But unfortunately, the Dragonites are going to be an issue. They're neutral to Electro Web, they have very high special defense, and they resist Bug Bite. So I can confidently say that getting past Lance at this point is just not going to happen. So after a few attempts of just going nowhere, I decide to just black out and then just continue the blackout grinding all over again. Unfortunately, the downside of having to do all this blackout training is that I lose half of my money after every fight, but if I can make it all the way to Karen or Lance and then I lose half my money, I still have enough money to buy a few healing items, so I'm not going to be running out of those anytime soon. I just really have to limit myself on what ethers I use because those are limited in this game. During my blackout training, I do make it back to Lance at level 85. I can do quite a bit of damage to his first Dragonite, but still, this is not happening at level 85. I also get back to Lance at level 89, close to level 90 as well. And at level 90, Electroweb can actually one-shot the Charizard. But still, Dragonite's Outrage is just doing way too much. Am I gonna need level 100 for Lance? I sure hope not. I come back to Lance at level 92, I still lose. I lose again at level 93, and now I am back at level 98. Electroweb actually one-shots his first 3 Pokemon, and then Bug Bite looks like it's gonna 3-shot his first Dragonite. It does waste time with a Hyper Potion, but at least I get a critical hit. And then the second Dragonite is not that scary, it only has Thunder, and then the other Dragonite has Blizzard. So the high level one with Fire Blast was actually the scariest. But thankfully at 3 hours and 42 minutes in, I have finally defeated Lance. Without level 100, may I remind you. I can definitely assure you, normal Weedle probably would not have made it to this point. It would probably be an impossible fight. And now with Lance defeated, we still have an entire region to go through. Unfortunately, most of the Kanto gym leaders are pretty easy, but then again, we are using a Weedle. I'm going to fade out now until we get to Blue, which is the only really hard gym leader in Kanto, but if I struggle with anyone else, I'll fade back early. So I'll see you after the fade. Yeah, you all probably predicted this, but none of the first 7 were easy. So let us go straight to Blue. He leads off with his level 56 Pidgeot. It almost one-shots, but unfortunately it mirror moves Electroweb, so I am now slower than some of his Pokemon, but fortunately his Rhydon doesn't use a rock move, and it just uses Sandstorm. And then on the Arcanine, it hits me with massive damage with Flamethrower, and unfortunately Electroweb does not one-shot, so I do get a reset. Unfortunately on the next attempt, it mirror moves Electroweb, so I'm like, okay, maybe I should use Poison Sting or something first, and then Electroweb. I didn't use Bug Bite because I wanted to use a move that would do the least amount of damage to me, and thankfully, it doesn't choose to mirror move. I defeat the Rhydon pretty easily, and I defeat the Arcanine at 5 HP remaining. I outspeed the Alakazam one-shot with Bug Bite, I one-shot the Gyarados with Electroweb, and the Exeggutor is 4 times weak to Bug. So yeah, Blue's done. Level 100. So now we have defeated all 16 gym leaders. But now, we still have one final obstacle. Can Modern Weedle beat Red? There's only one way to find out. Red leads off with his Pikachu. It is a one-shot with Bug Bite, and next up is his Snorlax. The Bug Bite is a 3-shot, and then Body Slam does a lot of damage to me, plus there's always the risk of paralysis. The Venusaur is generally pretty easy because it likes to use a turn 1 Solar Beam for not much damage, and then the Charizard one-shots me with Flamethrower. And I can guarantee you, like, I am not one-shotting this thing. I actually looked at my Weedle stats in PK Hex during this run. I have maximum stat experience, and I have all 15 in my DV stats. That's the modern equivalent of 31 IVs. So if you see my stats in the bottom left corner of your screen, they are not improving any more than this. So I have to defeat Red with what I got. While you guys are watching all of these Red attempts in the background, I want to go over some damage ranges that I did after this run. When I get to the Charizard, his Flamethrower will do 221 to 261 damage. My Electroweb on him will do 78 to 92, or 85 to 101 with the Magnet. So, I cannot 2-shot the Charizard. The only way to 2-shot it is that one of the Electrowebs has to be a critical hit. Fortunately, I can survive a Flamethrower if I'm near full health, but there are some problems with that. The Body Slam could crit, the Snorlax may not use a turn 1 Amnesia, which it generally likes to do, or the Venusaur could use Sunny Day and just sweep me with Solar Beam, doing a bunch of chip damage, and then with Sunny Day, there is a 0% chance I survive Flamethrower. So what I need to have happen is on the Snorlax, it uses a turn 1 Amnesia, I use Bug Bite again, and then fortunately it'll either use another Amnesia or a Body Slam. I'm fine with Body Slam as long as it doesn't crit or paralyze. And then on the Venusaur, I want it to use a turn 1 Solar Beam. Do not use Sunny Day. And then on the Charizard, if I have enough HP, at least 221, then I have a chance to survive Flamethrower. If I am over 261, he can only one-shot with a critical hit. And then I need one of my Electrowebs to get a critical hit in order to knock it out. And I can definitely tell you, the amount of luck that this needs is actually kind of insane. It takes me a very long time to eventually get past the Charizard. But when I do, he actually sends out Espeon, and the Espeon is a one-shot with Bug Bite. I kinda wish Bug Bite healed HP, but unfortunately not. And then, finally, is his Blastoise. The Blastoise is actually kind of worse than Charizard. Let me go over the math with you. The Blastoise's Surf can do 90 to 106 damage, which is not good at all. The Charizard will always get a Flamethrower on me, and the leftovers healing me cannot heal me enough in order for me to survive a Surf. So, if I can't survive a Surf, I'm kind of in trouble. I mean, the enemy AI can use Rain Dance on the Blastoise. If it detects, it cannot kill with one Surf. But let me tell you why he will never use Rain Dance. He'll always detect a kill with Surf. But there is one scenario where I can win, and unfortunately in Vanilla Crystal, it is not possible. As you may or may not know, there are badge boosts in Generation 2. The first badge, the third badge, the 6th badge, and the 7th badge all give boosts to one of your stats. But more importantly, we need to look at the 7th badge, the Glacier badge. The Glacier badge from Price gives you a 12.5% boost to your special attack and special defense. But there is one problem with that. The special defense badge boost is bugged. There is a glitch with it. If your special attack is not within a certain value range before the boost, your special defense does not get a boost at all. You know how you can tell? Look at my stats in the bottom left. This special attack and special defense are both max DVs, maximum stat experience, and they're both base 20. They should be the same number, but they're not. I actually have done the math, assuming I have the special defense badge boost. The Charizard's Flamethrower would actually do 198 to 234. So I will have a higher chance of surviving. Plus, if I can get to the Blastoise, his Surf will only do 79 to 94 damage, which, assuming the Charizard's Flamethrower was a low roll, I actually can survive a Surf, so there will be a chance the AI just goes for a turn 1 Rain Dance, and then followed by a Surf. You may think, oh boy, that is still a lot of luck. I'm not finished with you yet. The problem is, you want to know how much damage Electroweb does to the Blastoise? 66 to 78. That is not enough for a 2-shot. And then the crit range is 132 to 156. And I did the damage ranges with Bug Bite. Bug Bite is only at most 2 to 1 extra damage. So they're effectively the same range. So if I had the special defense badge boost, here's what I would need to do on the Blastoise. It would have to use a turn 1 Rain Dance because it would detect that Surf cannot kill me, and then I have to use a Bug Bite, it has to get a crit, and then I have to get another critical hit. So I would have to get 2 critical hits in a row on the Blastoise in order to win. So yeah, the amount of luck you need is just very improbable, but that is assuming the badge boost to your special defense works, which it doesn't in Vanilla Crystal. I'm sure you could fix it in the disassembly, but that would just make it far from vanilla. So in regular Crystal, Modern Weedle cannot beat Pokemon Crystal. But still, making it to Red's very last Pokemon, that is very, very impressive. Like, I'm surprised it even beat Blue, to be honest. So in conclusion, without the special defense badge boost, the Red fight is impossible. However, with the special defense badge boost, you can defeat the Blastoise, but after you arrive at it after creating the Charizard, you must get a favorable range on Surf so you can survive, or have Blastoise use a Rain Dance, and then you have to two-shot it with either a high roll Electroweb or 2 crits. Even if you survive a Surf to get a second attack on the Blastoise, the luck you would need with Electroweb ranges and crits makes Red very improbable, possibly needing hundreds of resets. So unfortunately, this is where we're going to have to end the video. I'm sorry it has to end on a low note, but it is still impressive that Weedle made it that far. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to follow me on my socials or support on YouTube memberships. Links are down below. I'm not done with the modern backports yet. I'm going to do one more modern backport before I go back to my normal runs. I will be backporting modern Magikarp into Pokemon Red and Blue. If you guys want to know what modern moves Magikarp will have, you're gonna have to look it up yourself or wait for the video. I can definitely tell you, it's not the Dragon Rage University Magikarp, it's gonna be its modern moveset, like a Magikarp from Gen 8, Gen 9, stuff like that. Moves it can learn in those games. Anyway, I will see you all in the next run.